Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of my English Way. I am Gardenia and I'm here to talk about trauma and how we can overcome it. Then we will talk about a book called The Body Keeps the Score: Brain, Mind and Body in the Healing of Trauma. And let's start with the first chapter, okay? Then imagine a man who loves his family but can't stand the sound of his own children. Imagine someone who survived war but never really came home. This is how chapter 1 of the book The Body Keeps the Score begins, and the author is Bessel van der Kolk, a psychiatrist, pioneer in trauma research, a person who worked with war veterans, abuse survivors, and children, among others. Okay. Then he starts the chapter talking about Tom, who was a Marine veteran that reacted with explosive anger when his kids are noisy. When he wants to go out of his reality, he goes out of his house and drink alcohol until oblivion. He suffers from nightmares that replay an ambush that he suffered in Vietnam. He is a person who feels guilty, that healing feels like betraying his friends in this ambush, the friends that he lost in Vietnam. Okay. Then he says to the doctor that if the nightmares stop, my friends will have died in vain. And then we can maybe make this question: why would someone choose pain over peace? Because they are stuck in their past, and the author will explain that throughout his book. Then at first, the doctor thought that it was a problem of sleep for his patients, but slowly he realized that something much bigger was happening. Okay. Then he starts to explain to us that trauma is not just a memory. Trauma lives in the body, and the brain stays stuck in a survival mode. Then the person starts to feel anger, maybe because of what happened to them or because what they did to another person. Okay, those feelings that they are can feel, they are responses to what happened to them. Tom and others, like the author's father and uncle, other veterans, survivors of child abuse, women that are beaten by their partners, they are all people that have different stories, but they all have the same body response, is what the author is explaining to us. And he says that trauma is not what really happened to you, but what happened inside you as a result of what happened to you. Then he says that people who pass through some traumatic events are adults who can't love, trust, or feel safe in relationships. And healing doesn't begin only with talking, it begins when the body learns that the danger is over, that the danger that they lived, that people lived in the past is over. Then for that, the author says that there are three fundamental methods for healing. And the first one he calls top-down approaches, which involve talking and cognitive processing. And that can be maybe therapy, or maybe people that you just open up. This can also help you to overcome the situation. And the second method that he talks about is pharmacological approaches, which involves some kind of medicine. The third one is the bottom up approaches, which allow the body to have experiences that deeply and viscerally, for the author, contradicts the helplessness, rage, or collapse from trauma. Okay. Then that can be some kind of sports that the person can do and make it a habit. And the author also says that the imprints of past experiences can be transformed through physical activities. Then some movements that you can do with your body, and you can do it systematic, can really help you to overcome the situation because you will feel as if you are in control of your body. Then the other book that I read by Oprah Winfrey and Bruce Perry, it's called What Happened to You? Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing. This book also talks about that. Then it's another source that also says that you can have therapy, you can have drugs or medicine, and but maybe you also need some kind of sports or physical activity to overcome the situation that you faced. Okay. Then, after trauma, you deal with some conflicts as past versus present, and then people stay stuck in their past. They are not really engaged only on their present, and their past still really affects them. Then, and this is the conflict that they have. And another conflict is also survival versus living, and that means that trauma forces people into this survival mode. Their brain and body focus on staying alert, watching for danger in any moment, or maybe in their relationships. They are watching for some kind of danger, and they are trying all the time to protect themselves. Okay. And this helps them survive trauma, but later it causes some problems for them. And then they can struggle with relationships and trust. Okay. They can feel emotionally disconnected, and maybe they can see, like Tom, that he can see their family suffering because of his disconnection with them, and they are not really embodied to do something to change because they are remembering their past and living with it. Okay. Then they cannot really fully love or enjoy their family or their daily life. Tom survived the war, but the war really was living still inside him. And then this is a problem, really a problem for him, because he's not living the war anymore. Okay. But the facts that happened at that time really influences his life during the present. Then the body keeps the score, says that trauma is not only in a person's head, but it has also its psychological basis. It harms the immune system and also our emotions. We can really feel really deeply every little thing that can happen, and the person can feel a really big rage or something like that. The emotions after trauma is really changed, and trauma produces actual physiological changes. A recalibration of the brain's alarm system is what the author says. An increase in stress hormone activity, alterations in the system that filters relevant information from the irrelevant ones. Then we can have that in a lot of people that suffered trauma. I believe that my mother, he suffered some traumas in her life, and the results of that was that she really overthought a lot about everything that happened to her, and she really believed in what her mind was talking to her, and she acted really accordingly to what she was thinking. Okay. Then because of that, she was fighting against people all the time. Then trauma affects not only those who experience it directly, but those around them. And another example that the author says in the book is that children of depressed mothers are at risk of growing up insecure and anxious. Then for me, this is real because I am also a daughter from a depressed mother, and we have those kind of results when a person lives with someone that's all the time changing their mood, and then they are all the time thinking negatively or reacting badly towards people that could be our friends or our neighbors. And then the author also talked about Abraham Kardner, and he talked about his book that is called The Traumatic Neurosis of War from 1941. And Kardner noted that sufferers from traumatic neurosis develop a chronic vigilance and a sensitivity to threats. Then this chapter teaches us something uncomfortable but essential. People are not broken, they are remembering. The past doesn't live in the past, and it lives in the body of the person until the body feels safe enough to let it go. Then you have to do a lot of things to feel safe enough to let the past not harm your present. Okay, and that was the first chapter. I let you with a question. Okay, have you ever noticed a moment when you were physically safe but your body or your mind reacted as if there was some kind of danger? What Another question. What helped you to come back to the present? Then answer those questions in the comments. Okay, I'll be happy to read your comments if you want to open up. Thank you for listening to me. If you like this episode, share with someone that can benefit from listening to me also, and see you next time. Have a great one.